Well, this bloke wanders in as a star of rugby league, which tests me because I've had to go deep into his history. I've been watching videos. I've been looking at highlights. I've been looking at stats. Cam, we've been trying to make this happen for a while now, and you in the lead up to finals, I can't tell you how appreciative we are. We've never met before, but so do you come in here and trust the show in what's been a really big year on and off the field for you and your family. Thanks for joining us on the Howie Games, mate.
Thanks for having me, Howie. Yeah, look, when obviously the media guys at the club reached out to me that you guys were interested at the Howie Games, I was pretty chuffed. Although my old man used to love watching cricket. Used to hear you commentate, and my old man loved cricket, and he was a diehard Warnie fan. And I've watched some clips and some stuff of obviously you and Warnie and some other stuff that you've done around the cricketing world. And yeah, I was very lucky to obviously be here today.
Mate, we'll get to your dad, but we just had a quick coffee downstairs, and condolences to you and your family, mate. It played out on a national level, which I imagine is even more difficult. How's your mum?
She's good. I think I was talking to you downstairs before we got up the elevator. You don't realise the work behind the scenes that you got to do once unfortunately someone passes, and that's obviously a death certificate, organising a funeral. And just all those, like mum has to organise her trust and super and all that stuff. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff that you got to do behind the scenes when someone passes away. But it was probably more shock than anything. And I think a lot of people could probably attest to things when family members are sick and they've been sick for a long time. You kind of slowly deal with it. But when something hits you between the eyes, in such a big week, captaining in Queensland and decider in Sydney, it's probably no bigger feat for me as a rugby league player. At high stakes. So, yeah, it was an interesting one. It was not ideal, but we all go through that as human beings, and there's always got to be adversity, and it's just how you go against adversity and try and obviously adapt to it. And felt like I did that, but yeah, like I said, my mum's still doing a bit tough, but hopefully we can get through it all together and get through it.
Well, I hope she listens to this and puts a smile on her face, because I've no doubt she's very proud of you. And we'll speak to what happened with the Origin as we go through your journey. But I was just sort of talking about with you as, you were born in, would you say, 94?
Yeah, 94, yeah.
So, your parents have been together 30 plus years. I've been with my wife for 20 years. And it's like when you're with, I don't know, you're married now and you've got a young family. How long have you been with your wife from woe to go?
Well, you've tested me here. Married 16 months and been together for about 7.5 years.
So these are things you don't want to get wrong, Cam. These are things you've got to get right.
You think I'd get them right.
But what I'm saying is, I know with my wife, after nearly 20 years, which I can't believe it, you start a sentence and they finish the sentence. You wake up in the morning, they're there, you have your routines together. And I as you say, one goes through it, but it must be incredibly difficult for your mum after an extended period of time that your dad's just not there. And you can't put yourself in those shoes, because you and I haven't lived that.
Yeah, I always keep harping on how strong my mum is. And, I don't know how she keeps battling through. Every Saturday, my dad loved to bet on the races, and he always used to ring me in the morning and give me his tips, even though they were shit. I think
Good on you, Dad.
Yeah, I think he was 1 out of 100 every weekend and we had a tip. So he'd ring me, don't worry, he'd ring me if it was over $10. But I think that was just the connection I have with my dad, was every Saturday morning ringing me. So I think it gets a bit down in the dumps at times for myself with those memories on Saturdays. But I guess, you kind of cherish those moments, because you obviously won't get them ever again. But my mum would have different memories of my old man, especially at home. He loved to cook but couldn't clean. He was terrible cleaner, and he used to leave his clothes lying around. So I always remember mum just whinging about him not putting his stuff away or cleaning up. So
hope my kids are listening to this.
Yeah, so I guess, you obviously whinge about that and always moan about some people's flaws, and when they're gone, you kind of think, damn, I wish I had that. You still wish I had that feeling of telling them to pick it up or telling them to do this and that, just because obviously mum loved to clean, which never was her forte, but she had to do it, because if it wasn't for her.
Yeah, I hear you. Hey, you've just come from training now, so it's Thursday. You play the Roosters tomorrow night at Amy Park, and there was a stat popped up the other day about your percentage wins I was watching your game last week on Friday and Thursday nights. It's extraordinary, but it's a big week for your coach.
Yep.
And I'll talk to you about the coach as we go on, because I know you've got a great relationship. He's got his 600th game.
His age. He's not 600 years old, but he looks like it.
Every year he's retiring and then he pushes on. But what is a training day? So I've got a fair idea of the AFL world, which is why I've made a lot of notes. So I'll try not to refer to them, but rugby league is not my forte. What's a training day before 24 hours before your game? Physically, what is it? And how much tactics and game analysis goes into you playing tomorrow night against the Roosters?
Yeah, it's a great question. For the 24 hours before kickoff, we usually have a couple of meetings. So, for example, I'm in the spine. If no one knows rugby league in Melbourne, the spine's just the 1, 7, 9, and 6. And that's just the boys that want to run the shape or organise the game management side of things. And that's about 8:20 we have that meeting. And then we go into physio. Well, I have physio at 8:40, and then we go as a team meeting at 9. So we obviously have a chat what we want to get through in that spine meeting at 8:20, and we go through our plays, get it all sorted. So when we go to the team meeting, we can address the playing group. And then the coaches will go up and obviously show some clips
of what they want you to do or what your opposition are going to do at this stage.
A bit of both. So we do D and attack.
Okay.
So we just do. So they might have some clips on some strengths of the other team, some weaknesses or some things that there's some common trends in their game that they obviously utilise or play a fair bit to, and a bit of a vice versa with attack and defence. So assistant coaches do that when they obviously have a defence coach and an attack coach, and they'll probably go on for maybe 45 minutes, that meeting, and then we go do game prep or training prep, which is like your hammy stretches or your glute stretches, or you got to do your band work just to get your body firing, and then we all go as a group out on Gosh's paddock about 10 past 10, do walking touch.
Which is extraordinary because I often drive past when I'm going to the MCG, etc. And there is ostensibly the best Australian sporting team for the last 20 years. And old mate's walking his dog past and I can just sit there and watch the whole thing. I think that's fantastic. Like League Storm fans must love that.
I think as players we love it too.
It's very cool.
It is. I think there's not really a whole heap of that of feeling or old training fields that you get to go and watch those sort of things anymore. I'm not too sure about rugby league but a lot of AFL teams when I watch, they like to train inside like the stadium and you can't really see them train.
Like 15 minutes, send the cameras out. You get no idea what they're doing.
Yeah, so I think we're pretty lucky in that sense. Like I know it's not a real rugby league dominant town, Melbourne, but I feel like a lot of people love their sport in Melbourne and there's a reason why we've got 40,000 members. It might not because they love rugby league, but they just love sport in general, and we've been so successful the last 20 years, like you spoke about, Howie, and I think people just like jumping on a team that wins or mostly wins every second or third week. So we've been fortunate enough to be such a very big force of a rugby league community in Melbourne, and we're only going to keep growing. And we're not trying to obviously outgrow AFL, but that's not our plan, but we just want to be loved by Melbourne, and I think they started that really well in '98.
I think what's been really well portrayed is be a Hawthorn supporter and be a Storm supporter. Like you can support more than one code, but you're a doggy supporter. So as this happened last night, as a professional athlete. Yeah. So for those, we're going to be a little bit behind by the time this goes out, but the Dogs needed Essendon to beat the Gold Coast Suns for your team to go through to finals. Unlikely to happen. There's 6-1 down at quarter time. So as a professional athlete, if you were in the Melbourne Storm in this situation, how far into that game, Cam, would you have thought, we're not playing in the finals, I might have a first quiet beer?
I watched the game last night. I would have said the last 4 minutes of the second half.
Right, you were done.
I was done, I think. I know Essendon come back and kicked a couple of quick ones, and but I feel like the way, and I know disrespect to Essendon, they've got, 15, 16? Yeah, they have got a fair few players out.
So many injuries.
So, like, the Suns were just too good, and I think they ended up winning by 69 points or something.
Or more. So I think it was up to towards 90. Yeah, probably turned off and just probably fair enough. So you reckon just before halftime you thought, I might just have a quiet light beer here and the season's done?
It's a tough one because you're like, obviously disappointed you lost to Freo. I watched that game as well. We were up looking really good in the first quarter.
Dominating.
And then obviously I don't even think we kicked a goal in the second quarter. So that's the momentum swings of our game these days of AFL and NRL. Just you're never comfortable, you could be 40-0 up or 40 points up and it doesn't mean anything anymore. So it just shows momentum swings at the moment, and pretty disappointing for the boys. I know we've had some good players. We've got some actually good young talent coming through. I've been watching it a fair bit.
Who do you like?
The future's right. Sam Darcy's a freak.
He's a freak.
He's a freak. Ed Richards.
Yep.
I love Ed. I know I'm obviously good mates with the Bont. Go to his cafe actually every now and then down the road. So he just lives down the road for me. I was pretty disappointed Dunkley left to the Lions, but he's obviously going well at the Lions at the moment. But actually, funny story. Josh Dunkley was the one that got me onto the Dogs train in about 2015.
So I was going to say, why did you end up becoming a dog?
Well, I was at Adidas at the time. I'm now with Puma. But I was at Adidas, and he was at Adidas, and he was a young fella coming through, and I only just got to the Storm and at the back end of 13 and didn't have a team. And I met him at a Adidas promo, and he's like, "Mate, jump on with us. We haven't won anything." And I was like, "All right, I'll jump on." That was at the start of 2015, and seen a flag in 2016 even, but everyone always says that I jumped on because of.
But then he left. But he's gone and won another flag.
He's gone and won another one, so it must be him.
Yeah, fair enough.
But yeah, no, JJ's been going well. But yeah, we got some good players coming through, so we just probably need a couple of key defenders, and I think we'll be right.
You're spot on. That guy that came in, he's only played a couple of games, is Croft. Father, son. He's just taking these hangers in the fort. The modern athlete, I watch rugby league and you guys are just so fit and fast now. But in AFL, you seem to need to be 195 plus. They're so big and tall now.
They're so big and fast too.
Yeah.
I remember watching Croft's first game and Norton took his snag.
Yeah.
It was his first ever goal. And
I was commentating that one, having a crack at Norton.
Mate, the ball was over. The ball was over. So that was his first ever goal. He ripped him off. But Norton's obviously kicked really well at the back end of this year. So, well, we get Cody Waitman back as well next year. So fingers crossed he can come back, and I reckon top 4 for the boys next year. No pressure, lads.
There you go. So this is why you can support both codes, as you play in one and obviously support the other. Tell me, mate, right back at the start, where did you grow up? What was family life like? And when do you first have memories of rugby league?
Yeah, I think my sister and I were pretty lucky. My mum and dad probably worked a fair bit to get us going. There was no flights back then. There was planes and stuff, but it was a lot of busing. They used to always bus to certain areas to play regional games. But
so where were you growing up?
I was in Rockhampton.
Right.
So yeah, my footy journey probably didn't start till I was 9 years old. I played soccer ever since I was 6.
Did you?
Yeah, Mum loved me playing soccer. It was a little bit softer on the body. But all my mates that I went through primary school with at Bersica all played rugby league, and I was trying my best for almost 2 years there, trying to convince Mum I want to play rugby league, and she was telling me I was mad. So she finally cracked under 9s, and the only way I could play was wear headgear. Remember those shoulder pads that was like chest plate, shoulder plate, forearm plate, bicep plate and forearm.
That would have weighed you down as a 9-year-old.
Oh, mate, it was ridiculous. It was like wearing a rashie going for a swim. And then I just remember playing, obviously, footy. I was still short. I wasn't big. And then I think it started to turn a little bit when I was probably about 15 or 16.
So as a 19-year-old, you weren't a standout?
I didn't make a rep side. So I made a Capricornia team, which was probably regional. In grade 6.
Right.
So under 11s.
Yep.
And then I didn't make a team after that. I made no representative rugby league teams. At that stage, it was like, it wasn't so-called who you knew, but blokes were not turning up to carnivals and getting picked because of their name.
Right.
So I started to probably get to about 15 or 16, and I was like kicking cans, getting not negative, but being a victim of, doesn't really matter if I play well in this carnival. They've got their team picked already, you know. But
so
that was probably just that negative mindset I had.
Yeah, okay.
And as a kid, you probably think that and probably think, poor me. But eventually once it started to get to 17 or 18 and all the kids that were outstanding and that all left Rocky and probably went to their teams that they were signed to, and I got a chance with Melbourne Storm, which is our probably our under 18s rep side, which is probably Jersey Flag, LSG Ball down here in Melbourne, and I ended up making the team, which was the Capras at the time, and played one game for Queensland Cup, which is VFL down here. Played against probably a red hot Northern Pride team that had a lot of ex-NRL players that played from up in Cairns, and did okay. And then the new coach come around, which was Jason Hetherington, and he was obviously known as a legend at the Bulldogs, which was the Canterbury Bulldogs, and he's done some NRL obviously stints, and he come back and coached and gave me my chance after that, and I played the whole year and got Rookie of the Year as a Queensland Cup player, and then played really well against the East Tigers, which is the feeder club to the Storm, and the recruitment manager at the time was, and still to this day, is Paul Bunn. Signed me on a 2-year deal. Obviously, I had an opportunity to go to Bronx. It was 1 year, but the second year was their option. And the Bulldogs was similar. First year, guaranteed. Second year, their options. But the Storm was guaranteed 2 years. And
Right.
I thought to myself, like, if I get injured the first year, and if I'm not doing great, they might just flick me. So I thought, you know what, I'll take security and come down here to Melbourne and get the opportunity to hopefully learn off Bellyache and it's Cameron Smith, Billy Slater and Cooper Cronk. And I never got the opportunity. I didn't think I'd do it. But if on my second year, I was thinking, okay, I might be able to do it. But I went come leaps and bounds in my first year, and I ended up training with the full-time squad after probably 6 months being in the under-20 squad. So, yeah, it was pretty special, and I haven't looked back for those 11 years, which I'm pretty fortunate about.
So just to take it back a bit, you're in school like year 9, year 10. Are you thinking, I want to be a rugby league player, or like what are you going to be doing if you're not playing league?
Oh, I didn't even have an inkling of that to me.
Right,
I think.
So you weren't thinking, I'm going to play professional rugby league?
Oh, I didn't think I was good enough at all. I probably didn't even have the chance to even play. We have a confraternity shield, which is like all the private schools from like if you're grade 11 or 12, they obviously have one team now. But back then, when it wasn't so big for the private schools, you could have, if a school was big enough, they could take 2 teams away. Okay. And I was obviously grade 11, and I was in the B's team. And in
year 11?
In year 11, yeah. So like I eventually made the top team in grade 12, but I was off the bench at one stage then and decided to, and then eventually after 6 weeks when I was grade 12, I ended up playing fullback for them then. As
a 15-year-old, because this is a great, because we have a lot of kids listening to this show and there'll be 15, 16-year-olds listening think, well, I can't make it, and you're an exact reason why they can. What were you thinking about doing? Like when you had to go to careers in year 10, they said, righto, Cameron, what are you going to do after school? Like, how are you answering that?
To be honest with you, Howie, I literally probably some people spoke to you about the club. I'm very relaxed. I don't really think too far into the future.
They did say this.
I'm all about the now, and I don't mean to be in the now, but I don't really think about like future things. You know what I mean? Like I see it as like something happens. It happens for a reason. So for me, I just played footy, run around like a headless chook in the playgrounds, and I was probably lucky enough to finish grade 12, to be honest with you, Howie. I wasn't a terrible kid, but I wasn't a kid that listened a whole heap, you know. And looking back on it as a school kid, like, I wish I did. You obviously learn certain things.
Why do you wish you did?
Oh, just to give myself every chance that if something doesn't come to what I wanted, like, yeah, the big picture was probably wanting to play professional rugby league, but I'm very lucky to be in that space. But at that time when I was going through school, maybe because I didn't put so much emphasis on wanting to be that and put so much energy into that, it may have why it might worked out for me. But when I look back on it with guys that were so talented as a kid my age, they were always penciled in to be destined to do it. And I think it put so much pressure on them. Well, I got to live as a kid. Like, you got to enjoy the little things. And that was going to house parties or going to go and do socialising and hanging out with your mates. And I remember looking back on it, I remember kids my age that were destined for big things were doing gym, doing like core work, doing all this stuff. And I just feel like it burned them out.
But you were living life as a kid.
Yeah, I was living life as a kid. And like I remember them going and having to do a preseason at 17 years of age with a full-time squad, and they missed out on all the good things like schoolies or like the things that you finish at school, you know, like they forgot how to be a kid because we were so focused and worried about, I need to do this to be able to do that. I think when you get a little bit older, you really precious and really feel like you enjoy those little things a little bit more. And the older I've gotten having kids now, you miss those moments.
So can you take your mind back when you get a 2-year offer for the Storm? How do you find out? Is someone ringing you? Is it through an agent? Are you just doing cartwheels through the backyard? Like, how do you find out?
Yeah, it was...
Because it's a fair team.
Yeah, it is.
You mentioned the players that you're about to play with and the coach you're about to play for. As a kid, I don't imagine it could be any better than that getting up to the Melbourne Storm.
Yeah, I think it actually went over my head. Jason Hetherington as a coach, he had an affiliation or a tie with the Bulldogs, so he was trying his best to push me down to the Bulldogs. But it wasn't the contract that I obviously was after. Everything was 2 years, but one was obviously an option with in their favour. So
if it didn't work out for the first year, bang, back to Rocky.
They could very well say, hey, you got to go. But I was a Bronx fan coming through as a kid, so loved the Bronx. I was disappointed at that time when I decided to go the different path, to go the Storm, which now looking back on it is probably the best decision I made. But
But you would have loved to play for the Bronx as a kid.
I loved to play for the Bronx as a kid, yeah. That was probably always my dream. But as I said, sometimes your dreams don't come true. So
how do you find out about the Storm?
Yeah, I had a manager at the time. He was ringing me up, telling me all these teams were interested. And at some stage I was thinking to myself, oh, he's just lying to me, you know. There's no chance that someone's obviously like wanting to sign me. And then it comes to reality is Anthony Seibold, who's the coach of the Manly Seagulls now.
Yes.
He was doing development and doing a little bit with the younger boys coming through as a coach. So he was here in Melbourne, and he come to Rocky, and he's from Rocky. His brother was my assistant at Capras, and I went there. It might have been game day. We're at the coffee club in Rocky, and we just had a chat, and he come watch me play at night and seen how I went, and then he went back to Melbourne, and the rest was kind of history. I signed the deal, and I packed my bags at the back end of that year in November, and I remember Justin Parle, who's does a little bit of rugby league in Rocky, and he reached his neck out and had it go because he was with the Bronx affiliation, so he was doing all the academy stuff for the Bronx, and we had a good relationship, me and Justin Parle, and he actually got me fit. Like he got me really ready to go and did certain things that I needed to do and be ready for once I went down to Melbourne, and probably owe him a fair bit knowing that I was in good nick going down there, because if it wasn't for me being in good nick, I don't think I would have been probably training as much as I would have with the top side, because I remember he'd been telling me in 2003 when Bellyache was the coach, Billy Slater and Cooper Cronk all stood out because I was fit and they worked hard, and probably helped me that me being fit was I was able to do a lot more than certain people coming into that preseason.
So let's talk. I got a few questions for you when you first arrive in Melbourne. So what's your first memory of meeting Craig Bellamy, who, as I said, this weekend he's about to coach his 600th game. What's your first memory of meeting him?
He's always been obviously a good person first, and then working hard, and then everything will fall from there. And I just remember when I debuted as well, he spent 45 to 50 minutes with my mum and dad in Townsville. Didn't know him from a bar of soap, and being that country person he was from Portland, I guess it just rubbed off on him, and he doesn't really care who you are. If you're a good person, he'll spend a whole hour with you, or even longer having a beer with you. If you're a good person, he'll do anything for you. And I guess that's just probably why the club's been so great, is because he does what he does and everyone follows behind him. They want to be better because of him. So, that's something I can probably relate to and have a bit of a memory about. That probably hits me in the memory bank a fair bit, was just the way he treated my parents once I got into the club, and he does that till this day, and I think that's why so many people respect him so much in the community. Someone
at the club told me there's only two things when he's not happy that can put a smile on his face. One are his grandkids being brought into the rooms.
Yep.
Strategically after a loss.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Does that happen?
It's been done a couple of times, yeah.
Just to calm down. The second, to put not too fine a point on it, this person told me in all his time at the Storm, he's never seen anyone, one, have the courage, and two, have the ability to take the piss out of the coach when he's not happy that you do.
Oh, thanks, Harry. I appreciate that. That's very nice words. Yeah, I don't know why. It must be my personality. And it's not like I have changed over the 11 years, but I've just been true to myself, always see the joy or see the light of things in things. Yeah, it's ideal not losing games, but I feel like I'd rather win games. I'm a very competitive person, and so is he, but he's always seen the negative side to everything, and I know I just try my best to try and cheer everyone up, because I know after a loss, he kicks himself a fair bit, and he's one of those people that puts all his eggs in one basket and he has to tick all the boxes, knowing that he's done all the boxes. If he's ticked them all, he knows he's got everyone prepped and ready to go and he's done his job. And I feel like when we lose games, he takes it on himself and he gets real emotional, and it feels like sometimes you feel bad letting him down, but at the end of the day, I always see it as someone's got to win, someone's got to lose, and they're not always going to win. At times, you're always going to be at your best, and it's not going to be good enough. So, for me, I just always go in there with a light-hearted comment, and I just try and go in there and just make it a little bit more lighter in the place, and more just attack him and have a go at his outfit or the shoes he's wearing. Or
how's he go with that when you have a crack at him?
Oh no, he gets back, he arcs up a bit. The hairs on the back of his neck to stand up, which is what you want. And then he forgets all about the comments or the video, and you just try and obviously it's time to be serious, but so I always see it as you want to enjoy the workplace and you want to go. If you don't enjoy your job, then go and do something else. So
have you Have you removed his pants before in front of the team?
I have ducked him a fair few times, yeah. He's
I can't picture that, but I like that.
Oh yeah, I think this shows his emotional side. You know, his vulnerability. I think for me,
what's the setting where you removed his pants? Like in a team meeting or just a training or?
Whenever I can. If it's in the gym and he's talking to someone about, like he might be getting up someone or trying to talk to someone about a defensive system or structure or something that he did that he shouldn't be doing, and he ties them up that tight now, so,
so they can't get removed.
They can't come down. So there's a couple of times where I've almost jarred my fingers because I've tried to pull him down that hard. But he's learnt his lesson a fair few times. But every now and then I get him when he forgets about it. But I've been trying to get onto the physios now. So
what is he? So that's the lighthearted. I don't know the answer to this, but what does he mean to you? Not as a rugby league player, but what does he mean as a friend, as a person, and someone steered you through some great times and some difficult times?
Yeah, that's a great question, Howie. He's probably we always talk about it and have a joke about it. Like he's been a father figure to a lot of guys at the club, especially myself. And I think for him, he probably, and he doesn't say this whole heap, but I reckon he sees a little bit of himself in me at times.
I can see that.
And I reckon that's why he's been so supportive and so welcoming with obviously, like he obviously shakes his head at some of the things that I do, but I think he just likes the way I care about everyone in the team, care about the club. And yeah, I've had some rough edges and some things that I've done at the club that I obviously look back on and go, what was I thinking there? But you always want to make those things learnings. Like you always want to learn from those things. I don't, like everyone says they're mistakes, but that's a learning of a journey. Like you want to be able to understand why you done it and what put you in that situation and how can you learn from it. So yeah, there's been some times where a lot of things that he's had an honest conversation with me about and really gave me the hard truths. And that's what the best thing about him is. I don't like things being sugar-coated. If you have a problem with me or you have something that I need to address, then tell me. And I respect that. Like I don't want people going behind my back and talking about me, or if they have an issue with me, the way I'm playing, or have an issue with the way I'm doing things or my personality or things that I'm doing off field, and there's things that my standards aren't up to scratch, then come and talk to me because I'm honest with it. And
when's he been most direct with you? I'm asking you a pretty private question now, so
yeah,
choose to answer. When has he sat you down and said, this has happened, this is what I need from you here?
Yeah, he's done it several times. I think after the 2017 World Cup, Aussies, EMU, if you're not too sure what an EMU is if you're not playing in that 17 for that week, you're in EMU. And Melbourne Inga was the coach at the time, and I'll get to have a great relationship with George, nicknamed, and he's obviously Mel, and he's great and really good mates with Craig. And he kind of sent me home. I was getting myself in trouble, just drinking when I shouldn't have been drinking. And that was what an EMU was. Like EMU was to have a rest, but you obviously enjoy yourself for one night or whenever you had to have a drink. But I probably took it too far, and I was at EMU for almost 4 weeks there straight. So I got to a stage where I just my decision making was very poor, and got to training and got to certain things that I was never supposed to be under the influence of, and he had enough and sent me back to clubland. I think I was the first bloke to be sent back, and it was a good learning curve because obviously I sat down with Frank and Craig. And
what do you say? What did Craig say?
Craig just shook his head at me and just kind of shook his head and swore at me and just kind of told me, like, mate, not many people get this opportunity to play for Australia and the green and gold, and you're kind of jeopardising that, and you just got to make better decisions. Like at the moment, you're just making poor decisions, and at that stage, I just wasn't really mature enough to understand why. Mm-hmm. And all this, like I was obviously making decisions, and the consequences I felt like weren't hurting me, but they were back home hurting my mum and dad, and putting a lot of pressure on them, and because my mum and dad raised me really well, and obviously they were getting the backlash because of what decisions I was making, and I never really thought about the consequences that my mum and my sister and my dad were getting, and the other one was 2021. There's no secret, I went to rehab with certain things that I needed to learn and understand, and I just made some really poor decisions, and I had sat down with him, and I remember him telling me just before the awards night for the Dally M's, and I was like, mate, I want you to stay here, I love you, but unfortunately, mate, you've left the decision in the owner's hands and the board, and whatever they decide is what you're going to have to end up copping on the chin. I don't want you going. We love you here at the club, and we know how much you care about the club, but unfortunately, mate, you've made some poor decisions, and it's going to end up hurting you and costing you dearly. And I had to make a plea to the club that not to sack me, and they were going to rip my contract up.
So when you first arrive at Storm, right, and there's Cronk.
Yep.
We've talked about Bellamy. There's Cronk, there's Smith, and there's Slater. Like Smith and Slater, this is like Queensland. This is like Lockyer and Wally Lewis, which we'll get to the fact that I think you're grouped with those same names now. But when I'll play you some people that are saying those names a bit later on. So when you first roll into Melbourne Storm, right, just about to turn 19, and you walk in the sheds and there's Billy Slater, Cam Smith, and Cooper Cronk. Like, how do you roll into a scenario like that? And what were they like? Like, do you look at them and think they're gods?
I did think they were gods at the stage, but like if we wind it back a little bit, Jason Herrington, my Queensland Cup coach, he was involved with the Origin team as well. So they come and did recovery at Brown Park in Rockhampton before they went to 4X Island at the time to have their little piss up and get away and enjoy.
I love State of Origin, 4X Island. At some stage in my life, I want to get invited to 4X Island.
Oh, mate, I'd love to be there as well. But yeah, so I had to do their ice baths. So I did their ice baths because
for those blokes.
Yeah, I did the ice baths.
So you filled the ice up for them.
I filled the ice up, did the water, and I just remember talking to Smithy and the boys about it. I was so a cocky, confident kid. I went in there and filled their ice and said, "I'll see you boys next year." And I had 2 earrings, like 2 fake black earrings. Yeah, I thought I was killing it, and I knew very well when I come down here that it wasn't tolerated having earrings. I remember a couple of times I had to quickly run off and pull them off because I used to train with them at training,
Right.
And, that's the thing about standards and being able to obviously train at a high standard. And I just was flat ass, didn't care, and just went around my own business and did my own thing. I did have care and want to train well with the boys, but yeah, I think looking back on them, they were so humble and so welcoming. Like I remember walking in and they'd be the first person to shake your hand, say hello. And it just comes when you have guests as well. Like I feel like going into a rugby league community or even an AFL like land, like you go into a club as a guest, it gets a bit nervous. Like you'd be nervous, like seeing so many blokes and seeing so many people around there. You're just like nervous and don't want to do anything wrong. And we just try our best to make it comfortable for everyone walking into our workplace. And if we see them when we've never met them before and we don't know if they've been in the corporate area or the commercial side, we know that they're not here, they're here as a guest. We go up and shake their hand and say g'day. And
you do that at Storm now?
We do that. Oh, that's just been there since I've come through it, 2013, 14. It's
because
non-negotiable.
It is intimidating walking into such a high quality, elite male workplace, like that's the best of the best. So, and talking along those lines, there's so much talk, Money, about the pre-season camps.
Yep.
Are they as tough as they're made out to be?
They're very tough. I think Belak does it, and I don't know where he got it from, but it must be his working background. But it doesn't matter if you're 18, 17 or 32. I remember Jason Riles. He played Origin for New South Wales, played Australia. Storm signed him at 32. He's probably come here just to not win a premiership, but also win games. And he did a 2-week work program as well as IDQ camp. Like, it doesn't matter how old you are or who you are, you've got to do the initiation. And I feel like the first 2 weeks of your preseason, you're doing 6 a.m. Wake up for gym, go to work at 8. So you're already in the gym for an hour. Then you got an hour to get where you need to get to. And the welfare, like BP, Robbo, and now YT, which is Young Tuamapia, one of our old players is now Samoan. He does like the Pacific Islander stuff with all our boys at the club. But they go and sort out labourers, contractors, and then they obviously put you to who you're going to. So
you did this?
Yeah, I did this the first 2 weeks.
So where were you going?
I went to a new building site. They were pouring concrete. I was more labouring, and they were just doing the slabs just to be able to put the framework up on the slabs.
And do the dudes know that you're working with that you're the youngest recruit coming into the Melbourne Storm?
Yeah, they know. So they obviously tip them up and tell them, do you need anyone to work for you? Like, we've got some healthy, or we've got some athletes.
Get paid?
No, we don't get paid. It's just to show you
it's an elite workforce for whoever's employing you, blokes.
Yeah, they just pretty much just drag it out. So Monday and Tuesday start at 6 as a gym. Obviously work till 4. They obviously get smoko and lunch, but then you go back to after 4. You go and train with the team.
Right.
After the first week, you kind of get through it. But then you realise after when you get back to that second week, you can just see they're zombies. They're struggling. They're not all there.
So what did you learn from that experience? Because it's part of Melbourne Storm mythology, isn't it?
Yeah.
That he gets you guys to do this. What did you take away from it?
took two things out of it. This how grateful we are as athletes to be able to play something we love and get paid for. And the second one is just how hard it is to be doing something and how much yakky you have to do. And I remember Bellamy talking about it, like, if you're not passionate about the work you're doing, then why are you here? So that's something I really took a lot out of it. And I know it sounds simple and easy, but sometimes we forget like how lucky we are as athletes. And I've been in some bad situations, got myself in so much trouble, but looking back on it, like we're very, very lucky to be able to be paid good money to be an athlete. Some people would probably kill to do our job. And
most people.
Like, I think that's why so many people get so angry as fans, is because they haven't got the talent, or they would love to have been able to do it, but they haven't been able to do it, And
yeah, absolutely.
They have to work 9 to 5 just to make payment wages and stuff. And we're sitting here enjoying, it's tough 80 minutes on the footy field, but we get the camaraderie and be able to train with teammates and build memories and combinations and friendships that some people don't actually have the opportunity to do.
So you make your debut round 12, 2014. You lose 22-0.
Mm-hmm.
The only commentary I hear is a commentator saying, involving you, nearly handed a gift by Cameron Munster on debut. So he's relying to you're deep in defence, and obviously there's an error of some point. Were you ready to go? When you made your debut, like, what are your memories of that debut? Because, you're stepping into I don't know if Billy was out injured.
He was, yep.
But you're stepping into one of the great Australian sporting teams at this point.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, my mindset going into, like, the club, I was so oblivious to all of it. Like, I was literally going up there and thinking, okay, I'm in the squad. I'm 18th man. I'm not playing. Like, that's the thing. I was going up there and I was just happy to be part of the club and be able to wear the Melbourne Storm jersey. But at that stage, the boys were playing Origin on the Wednesday night. We were playing the Friday night, I'm pretty sure.
Yep. I think it was, yeah.
Yep. So the boys had to play Origin and then fly to Townsville. So they would have had to recover on Thursday. We did captain's run. So I was filling in for Bill. So we were actually watching the game. I was in the 22. I was in the 18. And all the blokes around us were all playing reserve grade on that weekend. So at that stage, you could only put certain players in. Obviously, Cooper went down. Bill went down. So 18th man would have been Benny Hampton.
Yep.
Benny Hampton ended up having to go play in the halves because Cooper was injured. And then Bill was injured. So I had to fill in for Bill. So then I did the captain's run. And then I remember them last minute going, we have to ring up Cam's mum and dad. Flew him to the game. And that's when I was talking about Craig being so humble and talking to my mum and dad for an hour. So, yeah, I don't think I was ready. But I guess when you give someone an opportunity, how do you know when you're ready?
I don't know.
I just think you just got to be able to handle the outside noise. And I probably didn't handle it a whole heap. Like, we're versing the Cowboys, Jonathan Thurston, one of the greats of the game, if not.
Especially as a Queenslander.
And he's a Queenslander. And I was a young kid playing, and I just remember him kicking me to death. And you really understand how good those guys were when you played against them, because it's like playing chess. They do certain things, and I was a young kid, still oblivious, still raw, and yeah, obviously you would like to change some things in your debut, but it just made me want to come back and play more. Like, I played one, and then I didn't play for the rest of that year.
No, you didn't.
No, I got dropped. And then Kurt Mann played the following week, and funny enough, I actually went back home, played against the Capras for the East Tigers. So I ended up going from rocket sky high, playing my first NRL game, and then coming back home to Rocky to play against my old club. I don't know if they planned that or what, but yeah, I didn't play another game after that. That was kind of like we'll give him a taste, but I don't know if he's ready. And then I guess Kurt Mann played, and then Kurt went to the Dragons at the time. So I then slid up to the backup as a fullback, and then Bill got injured again, and then I played the rest of 15.
Yeah, 19 games.
Yeah.
2016, Slater stuffs his shoulder. So you go the whole way through, and you play the Sharks in the grand final, who haven't won a premiership in 50 years.
Yep.
What's it like losing a grand final, Cam? There's so much success you've had, which we'll get to, but how do you deal with when things don't go your way as a team?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, Howie.
Thank you, Money.
I think the expectations I had in 2016 and 18 was high. We were minor premiers 2016, and I felt like I didn't go in the game cocky or overconfident, but I just assumed that we were going to win.
You lose 14-12.
Yeah, so I just think for me, just the expectation of winning. We had a plan in place, and sometimes when you have a plan in place, sometimes it doesn't go to plan, and be able to adapt to it. And you look at those, look at the try that obviously the Sharks scored off the scrum in 2016. That was a set play that they never did all year. So
they held that.
Yeah, they
for
must
the
have.
Biggest moment.
The Sharks found a weakness in us off our scrum, and it only takes one moment or one try to really, and that was probably the defining moment. Like, there's a couple of other moments that we'd love to have back, but if they don't score that try off the scrum and the way Fafita broke through 4 of our players, myself, Smithy, Dale, Welshie, just to name a few, and it was still that's probably the year that got away from me.
You actually, I can see that you're right back there now.
Yeah, I think
this is nearly 10 years ago.
Yeah, I think that's the year that got away from me as a premiership winner. I think that's the one that probably eats me that the most. That in 2021. We never made the grand final in 2021, but I feel like that was a year that was anyone's year. And COVID, we won. I know we won 2020, but 2021 was a year that it was so balanced. It was anyone's competition. As a player or as a person, when you play professional sport, you want the big trophy, and those accolades are nice, those end of season trophies, but I'd give them all back for a premiership in any year that I've lost in, And
well, you've won 2.
I've won 2, but
what's it like winning?
It's unreal winning. Obviously, I've been on both sides of the fence of winning and losing, and
we've talked enough about losing. Let's talk about winning.
You always want to learn on your losses. I think I learn more when I lose and then I win. I hate losing, and I've found out ways of winning, and it's nice. But
you're obviously more comfortable talking about losing than winning.
Yeah.
Right. Can you give me something about winning?
Yeah. Oh, what do you need?
Just a moment from either of those 2 grand finals that stick in your mind.
Yep. I remember Billy scoring in 2017 grand final, and I knew it was all over. That was a memory of us knowing when Bill scored. I was like, we won this game, and I was so excited. And then I know it was only 12-6, but they come back with Tiani Martin that scored and it made it 12-6, but I still had that confidence and belief that we would get back. They scored a nasty try, and we get back into the footy we can play. I knew we were very confident in winning that one. In 2020, a bit similar, a bit like what the Roosters did to us. We started really well. We were 20-0 at half time, I'm pretty sure. And
then they came back with the last 20 points or something, didn't they?
Yeah, we got 2 sin bins, Brendan Smith and Jerome Hughes.
And this is Smithy's last game too.
Yeah, Kevin Smith's last game. So it was looking grim there. I remember this moment.
Yep.
Was it yesterday? Nathan Cleary scored off the tap. It wasn't ideal. I don't know what the hell the boys around him that were doing. He had spiders on him.
He had spiders on him.
I think it would have been 10, 20 seconds left in the game. And I remember going up to Smithy, and we had 12 men. I went, kick short. And he looked at me and he said, hopefully I can swear on here, Howie.
Yeah, of course you can.
He goes, are you fucking serious? I'm like, mate, I'm kick short. They've got 20 seconds. Like, what if we get the ball back? Like, if we kick deep, they got a chance to throw the ball around. And he goes, fuck off now, Munster. Fuck off to your half. Go to your edge. Piss off.
This is Cameron Smith?
Yeah. He goes, I'm not fucking kicking short. I'm like, oh, are you sure? And he looked at me and just gave me the look, and I went, righto, sweet. And I went back to my edge, and lucky he kicked long, and they threw the ball around a little bit, and I was a little bit worried there at one stage because we had 12 men.
Yeah.
And then they threw the ball, and Felice come in and tackled, and the rest was history. And I just remember seeing all the boys come running over. I know it was a COVID year, 2020, but I just remember how hard Melbourne were doing it as fans and as people. And, that was probably the thing that probably we lent on as what was our why that year, and that was our why. It was just giving Melburnians hope, and we're lucky enough to win the comp. And I think Richmond won that comp that year as well. So it was a good year for Melburnians.
Yeah, that's great stories. State of origin.
Yep.
What does it mean as a kid growing up in Rocky to put on the maroon jersey? Because I still think in this town we don't understand it. I had Wally. I spent 2 hours with Wally Lewis 3 months ago, and we did it in Triple M in Brisbane, right? And I know he obviously thinks a lot of you and vice versa. And he walked into the Triple M studio, and fair dinkum, it was like the cross between, I don't know, Brad Pitt, John Bon Jovi, Carl Lewis, and Venus Williams walking in there. Like, people were just, oh my God, it's Wally Lewis. And I think that's the first time, Money, I really started to understand the power of Origin.
Yeah, right.
Like people were just flipping out. And he's so humble and he's talking to everybody. And I asked someone about it later and they said to him, that's what state of origin means. So what does it mean to you?
It means everything. As a kid growing up, I just remember backyard, obviously wanting to be those top guys.
Who did you want to be?
I want to be Darren Lockyer.
Did you?
Yeah, I love Darren Lockyer. Once he left, obviously, Jonathan Thurston, and then Billy Slater was a little bit of that too, and Carmichael Hunt. So those were probably the guys I idolised growing up. I just remember sitting in on Wednesday night, Mum organising pizza at Eagle Boys, not around anymore, Eagle Boys.
They were a good pizza though, Eagle Boys.
They were good. I don't know how they folded, but Eagle Boys, that's going back a little bit. And I just remember eating pizza, the Meat Lovers, and watching the boys play on TV. And yeah, it was such a kid's childhood highlight for me. And going home, going to school the next day as a primary school kid, you just wanted to be them. If they won the game, you go there and try and copy what they did in the game. And I just remember it's just how happy everyone is. And I remember winning the series this year, and vice versa every year. Like you just remember kids coming up to you, mum and dads coming up to you, and people just say thank you to you, and you just think, yeah, wow, I didn't realise how much of an impact I'm going to have on this community. And Bill's so connected with the Queensland community, and everything we do for them. And that's why when we do things, we walk everywhere just to embrace and wear our Queensland gear with pride and walk around the city. And it sounds silly, but you just feel so loved when you walk around there and you just hear everyone yelling out Queenslander. And it stems back from the history of all the Origin games, and
well, he explained it all to me.
It's a great history, and about Arthur Beetson playing for New South Wales. And I think that's why it's so big, is because the rivalry is because all of our Queenslanders were getting paid big bucks to go down to Sydney. And they couldn't, and at the time the rules was if you were playing for a Sydney team, you have to play for New South Wales or vice versa with Queensland. And a lot of guys that are Queenslanders that are playing against their own Queenslanders, and they were getting the shits. And eventually they changed the rules, and then that's when the first game of Arthur Beetson come out. And I just showed you can be mates, but it's a competition, it's a battle out there. And he punched on with one of his own teammates, from the Blues. And
state v state, mate v mate.
Exactly, and that was the stepping stone to why the rivalry's been so big. Is he didn't care who he was, who his teammate was over the other side. I'm pretty sure it was Mitch Cronin, and so much rich history of it all, and there's been so many great brawls, but you can't have a fight these days, unfortunately. Lucky.
Well, it started for you. So I looked at this. You debuted, tell me if I get this wrong, 2017.
Yep.
So Queensland lose 28-4 first game. They win the second one, 18-16. Jonathan Thurston gets injured.
Yep.
So you play, you play with yourself, Cronk, Slater and Smith. So it's the Melbourne Storm. How do you find out and you win? So you win your first Origin series, and I can see you smiling about it now. How do you find out you're going to debut for Queensland, and what did it mean to you? And then you roll in with Cronk, Slater and Smith for your first game.
Yeah, no.
Who are your Melbourne Storm teammates?
Yeah, so the first game you spoke about, JT was injured, he had a shoulder injury, so Anthony Milford played.
Right.
Then Anthony Milford got injured, and JT come back.
For the second one?
Second one.
You win that, 18-16.
They were down, and they scored two miraculous tries at the back end of the game. And
I was watching these.
And JT kicked the goal, and one of the most pressured games you've ever seen.
Amazing sport.
Yeah, and he had a bad rotator cuff at the time, and he needed surgery, but he ended up finding a way to get out there. And unfortunately, I was the last man standing at that time. I was the only one who was probably playing some decent footy, but I don't know if I was ever ready to play Origin at that time. But because Anthony Milford was injured, Jonathan Thurston was injured, Cameron Smith ended up ringing Kevy and saying, hey, put Munster in. And
Cam Smith did he?
And Kevy goes, are you fucking mad?
Not much faith from me,
there wasn't much faith. He goes, mate, trust me, put him in. And then I felt like I had a lot of belief, or always had a lot of confidence from Smithy that he would always...
if Cameron Smith believes in you, you've got to believe in yourself.
Yeah, well, I think Smithy just wanted me in the team because of being a Storm spine. But I think it helped as well, me playing some good footy in 2017, being the minor premiers that year. But yeah, like I said, Decider and Brizzy, I trained all week, so nervous, and I ended up having a couple of worst training sessions of my life. And I remember Smithy telling me after the game, he goes, thank God you played like you did because, mate, there was question marks from Kevy. He came up to me and goes, are you sure we picked the right freaking dude here? Because I was throwing balls to the ground. It was terrible. I was like playing under 12s. And then Smithy, I remember Smithy just saying, now looking back on it, he's told me all of it. And he goes, he'll be right, mate. He trains like this at Melbourne. He can't train, but he'll be right for the game. He somehow flips the switch. But I was lucky. I flipped the switch. And yeah, it was a very great eye opener. I just went out there and played carefree footy, and sometimes you get that opportunity. And yeah, I was very grateful to be able to play in a decider at Suncorp, a no bigger arena, and yeah, we ended up playing some really good footy, and the celebrations with Alfie was outstanding. And I just remember watching and hearing all the stories about how good Alf was, and he's a bit like Warney, you know, a figure.
He's a legendary figure, isn't he? He's a mythical, mythical figure.
And you think to yourself, is he real? Like you go and touch him, and
he's only a little man
he's
too.
He's a little man, yeah. So he would have been a great jockey, I reckon, Alfie. But yeah, like just to see him around. And especially around the Queensland camps, you just think, oh, that's what Origin's about. When you see him and all the other guys coming in, you're like, oh, yeah, that's what puts a bit of hair on your neck, and very special time.
Whack these on. So
what have we got here?
Well, you've detailed your journey, right? So after 2022, after game 1, they were doing the Channel 9 post-game wrap, right?
Oh, no.
Yeah. So your man Fatty, Paul Vaughton, is in there, and he's chatting away with Andrew Johns, who I can't believe came on this podcast, but he did.
What a haircut.
Wow. Yep, what a haircut. You're looking pretty sharp there. So you've come from not making rep teams, and then this is possibly the greatest rugby league player of all time from New South Wales, Andrew Johns, is talking about, and he's with Fatty Vaughton. This is what they said about you.
When someone pulls on a maroon jersey with the number 6 on the back, doesn't they, Joey?
Oh, yeah.
And he was a class above every other player tonight.
Well, Fatty, you played with Wally. Obviously, he's the king in the young Origin.
Yeah.
Was there Wally Lewis-like performance?
No, it
from
was.
Munster?
He's getting closer to him. I'll tell you, the way he's playing, and that second half.
When you asked for it at half-time,
I
the
did
top
say at
numbers
half-time he
don't
needed to
lie
run a
either,
bit
Fat.
more, and he did. He just carved him up. And when he runs
There
it,
he is, the king. Like, there's no bigger rap a Queenslander can get to say that he's playing like Wally.
Yeah, Wally.
But what we saw there tonight,
Go the king.
No, it was.
he owned the big moments.
He controlled. He's an instinctive player, as was Wally Lewis. Wally wasn't structured by any imagination, right? But he was instinctive, and so's Cameron Munster. And when he and to a lesser extent, Kale and Ponga, they're instinctive players, and when they do what they do, that's when good things happen for Queensland Rugby League.
Well,
so he's outstanding.
This stuff we're looking at here, Fatty, these big plays here, right? He comes up with these one-on-one strips. Look at this one on Stephen Crichton. He's 12 metres out from the Queensland try line. Who's thinking of doing that? I know Stephen Crichton wasn't. He wasn't expecting Cameron Munster to strip the ball. But when he has the ball in his hand, he just mesmerises defenders.
Well, you've trained with him, you've played with him, but you train with him. How much, the big word is shape and all this sort of stuff.
No.
How much shape is around him?
So before I ask you to respond to those comments, have you got peroxided hair there?
Yeah, that was the year
What's going on there, Manny?
I was late to either meeting or I'd done something wrong, and we used to roll the dice, and it was either shave or dye my hair, and shave's a 0 or 1. And
Right.
I did that. I shaved my head maybe 2015,
Right.
And mate, it took that long to grow back. So I thought, you know what? I'll just bleach blonde it, and that was the reason why it stayed like that for the whole year. It took a while to come out.
Do we like it? I do.
Do you like it?
It's sizzle. I like entertainment. We're in the entertainment business.
Yeah, all right. Well, I might bring it back for you then, Howie.
I would like that. But so I paid you a part of what they said. So that was Andrew Johns, that was Fatty, and that was Cam Smith. Andrew Johns went on to say, the bigger the occasion, the more pressure, the better he goes. You can't stop him, you can't coach against him, and you cannot stop him. He is like Wally Lewis. So I don't know. How do you respond to that? Because we've followed your journey, mate, from not making rep teams and playing one game in your first year, and all of a sudden they're comparing you to the greatest rugby league players of all time.
Oh, look, it's very humbling.
Yep.
But I don't really see it as that. I just really see it as I'm just enjoying rugby league. I think sometimes, I know it sounds simple, but I feel like sometimes I just feel like I'm playing in the backyard.
Do you?
Love playing footy as a kid. And I think sometimes we forget about why we're here. The money puts pressure on you. But with those comments, it's very humbling words to hear from Joey as an immortal, and I don't really know how to respond to that. We've had so many greats play this game. I don't see myself being that special. I just see myself just playing to the certain things that I'm good at or strengths, and that's running the ball, trying to step around. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But to hear those comments, it's very humbling. And when you hear guys like Cameron Smith and Paddy Vorton and those things like that, they see things like that. And you're hearing that from your peers and blokes that have been around the game a long time. It's very nice to hear. You obviously hear comments of fans and stuff bagging me or anything, but that doesn't really bother me. Like, at the end of the day, I only care about what my family thinks, and obviously my peers. And the greatest accolades you can have is blokes that you play with saying that I want to play with this guy, or I love playing with this guy, or hearing those type of things like Cameron Smith or Andrew Johns that have been legends of the game, and having comments like that is one of the reasons why you want to be a legend of the game. And I've still got a long way to go, but it's very humbling to hear those sort of things.
I think someone described to me once that everybody, you don't have to be an athlete, everybody's got a superpower, something that makes them do well in their field. Maybe your superpower is that you go out there on the biggest stage having fun, playing like it's your mates in the backyard. Maybe that's your superpower. I think it probably is. Like,
might be the ADHD that kicks in a little bit too.
Maybe that's your superpower, because you go out there without the stresses of it all. I'm just playing with my mates in the backyard. Like, I would imagine most athletes would hear that and think, geez, I wish I could take that approach. Or any of us, to be honest. I reckon that's your superpower.
Yeah, it comes down to probably personality as well. We're all different. We all have different mindsets and capacity of how we deal with things. But for me, I like to speak to Jackie Lauder. She was a psych coach that I used to deal with, and obviously I was diagnosed, or not diagnosed. I haven't been really diagnosed, but she said I have a bit of ADHD, and I think when you look at guys that have got those, they're wired differently. They tend to play better, and you look at Geordie DeGoey. He's been, obviously I did a little bit with him. Andrew Johns, myself, like just those instinctive players. And it probably comes down to the ability of being so twitchy and having that carefree attitude. Sometimes it works really well on the field.
You mentioned earlier on discussions with Craig Bellamy. So September 2021, there's a video leaked of you with a substance with Brandon Smith, and you talked about having a chat with Craig, and then you were talking about a contract that you're writing to the Melbourne Storm.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that from your perspective.
Yeah, it's when you think you're at the highest of highs and you think you're bulletproof, you think nothing's going to ever come against you. And at that stage of my career, I think I only had one low time, and that was probably in the 2018 grand final, and everything was smooth sailing from there, And I guess I just got myself involved with the wrong people, and unfortunately had to deal with it. And my mum and dad probably my sister probably copped it the most, being back home, and everyone was asking questions about what's happened, what's going on, is it true? And my mum and dad never brought me up like that, and I feel like I've had a great upbringing. They treated my manners and everything was well. I was such a good person. My mum and dad are such hard-working people, and it broke them down. And when I see my mum and dad, it broke me down, and I needed to change. And you realise who's around you or who has your best interests when things are at your lowest point of your life. And my wife was pregnant at the time, and
with your first child,
my first child, Jackson, and I needed to change. I needed to grow up and be a better role model for my son. And I remember the club dangling the carrot of ripping my contract up, and with
your first child on the way.
Yeah, my first child on the way. And it's like, what am I doing? And when you look back on it, I could have got a contract somewhere else. But I wanted to stay here. And that's where I first started my career at. And I had to go through a plan with Matt Tripp, Tommy Carroll, Jerry Ryan, Brent Ralph, like Ralphie.
Serious level operators, these blokes.
They are.
Jerry Ryan. Wow.
Yeah, I love me and Jerry have a great relationship now. And I guess I had to sit down and try and come up with a plan, because, it was publicised. Obviously, I got in trouble in 2021. But there was obviously other things that were inside the four walls that I was doing that wasn't up to scratch, like turning up to reviews hungover and turning up to things that are not up to scratch, and and that was obviously never publicised. But
So were you drinking too much?
I was just probably enjoying myself a bit too much, and just not. And like for a 6-day turnaround, you're not allowed to drink, but I was drinking, and
Right.
just not recovery and not being the professional athlete that I needed
So just
to be.
professionalism levels.
Yeah, it was not great and not up to scratch. And they were seeing that. And obviously I had to sort my life out and we had to come up with a plan. And at times I've said I'm on a drinking ban, but that was not going to help. That was not going to cut it, And I decided to come up with a plan of doing 4-week rehab at the Benyons in Brisbane.
So what is that?
Oh, it was just
What's
more
that
of,
like?
Oh, it was different. Like I was skeptical at the start because I was like, oh, I don't think I have a problem, but I needed to somehow find a way to become a better person and find like just be a better human being for everyone. Like just make better decisions. And I went there and with an open mind, and it was such a great eye opener with some of the stuff. Like that was one of the reasons why I've changed my diet. Like they had a whole program for me with a chef and done everything and come out with like so clear-minded. I was such a different person. First 2 weeks was tough. Like there was no social media. They took your phone off you. The only time you could talk to someone was at 6 p.m.
So the rest of the time you by yourself?
But the rest of the time I was doing program stuff. Like
Right.
I'd have they'd have horses there. So the best thing about horses is they're so present. Like for example, I might go up to the horse and the horse doesn't want to borrow me, but then 10 seconds later it'll come up to me. It was always about being in the moment. Huh. You know what I mean? Like that's,
yeah, I do.
I've understood that. Like that's why I talk about being present now. Like everyone sits on their phones and social media and screen time and they probably forget not forget the good. I'm not trying to be a motivational speaker or anything like that, but just cherishing the moments or cherishing the little things at the moment, and before you know it, my kids are going to grow up. They'll be 20. They won't want dad around unless they're going to the pub and having a beer, but or want me to drop them somewhere, So just enjoying those little things. Like it's been almost, my oldest is 4 years old now, like almost 4, and I don't know where those 3 years are gone, It's gone so quick, but for me being in rehab for those 2 weeks, I only could talk at 6 p.m. So I obviously had to ring my pregnant wife at the time and like it was tough. I did that for 2 weeks and then eventually I got my phone and then, I didn't really sit on it a whole heap after those 2 weeks, and it made me realise like I was so oblivious to the outside world of all the articles that were coming out and then my manager's ringing me and going, oh, do you know about this and that? I'm like, no, I don't, mate, I don't actually. It doesn't really faze me. Well, previous years I was always worried about comments and always worried about, oh, what's this person saying or what's happening here? So now for me, and then I've gone in there, I had like a psych coach that I was talking to and she kind of dived back into my childhood and tried to talk to things like why I was doing certain things. And I had a couple of mates that I knew that committed suicide and probably...
As a kid?
No, not as a kid, but when I played with a couple of blokes that committed suicide playing like Queensland Cup and that. And like I probably just didn't deal with those things and just drank and that was probably my outlet. It was when I was down and that was my, I'll be right, I'll just drink. That'll be my syrup,
okay.
But eventually after that, sorted all that out, 4 weeks in, it was actually like I really enjoyed it and got out of obviously drinking. I did 12 months there not drinking and felt great. I felt outstanding. Dragged that out a little bit longer and then, I don't have, I reckon for me now, I probably have one night on the piss a year now. It's like, It doesn't really faze me anymore. I don't see the big point of being hungover the next day. I know it's an easy thing to say, but I just enjoy just my Sundays a bit more now. The older I got, the more I enjoy the little things with my kids. So that's probably something that I took out of the rehab, and I try and help kids where I can, and it's easy for me.
In what way?
Oh, just the path and the journey. Like I realised who was there for me, and that called me, and I had missed calls from people in those 2 weeks where the people I was probably hanging out with didn't even contact me at all. You know what I mean? And I realised my close mates were, and now I've got a small circle, and I just only care about what they have to say, and if I can be a good human being for them, then that's all I need to have, and that's all I want.
I appreciate your candor. Being a father, is that further added to the way you view Like you got 3 kids now.
Yep.
Young kids.
Yep.
How's that?
I have my kids on my phone now as my screensaver. So for me, just like going out and drinking or even just going out and socialising, having them on my phone is like the ticket of what make sure you're making the right decisions.
Great way of looking.
Like my phone is now, like if I look at my phone, I see my kids on my phone and that's my why. And I feel like we all get into situations of getting blind and either making a fool of yourself or getting in fights and just making poor decisions. And ever since I did that in 2021, that poor decision I made, now looking at my 3 kids on my phone, I always look back on that and go, that's the reason why I make the decisions I do now. And they always go to, and they're not, regardless of what people think about me, I want my kids to see me as a role model and kids coming through. And if I can make the right decisions in front of them, then hopefully they can make the right decisions when they grow older.
Queensland captain.
Try to be, yeah.
Yes, I guess there's no bigger honour really in rugby league. Who tells you that, okay, we want you to captain your state?
Yeah, it was a crazy...
It's a big deep breath that was, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was crazy. I think like we didn't have a great game in game 1 this year, and our skipper was in the hot seat and he didn't deserve the backlash that he got.
So you lost at Suncorp, yeah?
Lost at Suncorp.
18-6.
Coming the last time a Queensland team's lost back-to-back games at Suncorp.
Yeah.
So everyone was talking about a New South Wales dynasty and talking about Queensland's done. And I just remember our captain got so much backlash and he's in the hot seat, he should get resold. But to be honest, I thought we all didn't perform as a group, and I probably kicked myself at times letting our captain down. Like that was me personally. Like could have been me in the hot seat and getting kicked out. But I think what has saved me might have been my age compared to his. And I got the call up from Bill to go into his room about 5 minutes before he spoke to Paddy Carrigan, who's a leader in his own right, and he's a special player at the Bronx. And he got told he was playing come off the bench. We had Ezra Mam in the squad, and I'm thinking to myself, going, Bill might be coming and tell me I'm not playing here. I could be 18th man here. But I walked in there. I spoke to Bill, he's asking me how I'm going, and I'm thinking to myself, he's either trying to soften me up here to tell me I'm not playing, or he's trying to, have small talk to let me know that I'm the captain. And he looked at me and just went, "Man, I want you to be our captain." And I took a couple of minutes there and didn't cry, but I got a bit emotional and just probably more looking back on my career and my journey on where I got to and how it's just flipped the whole script of me being that larrikin ratbag to now the leader of one of the biggest franchises or biggest rivalries we've got in our sport. And
my word.
And I'm thinking to myself going, oh, wow. I was lost for words. And then he pretty much just said to me, because I couldn't say anything, he goes, "Mate, I believe in you and it's your time." And I went, "All right, if you believe in me and you think it's my time, then, mate, I'll do anything for you." So, yeah, I ended up becoming the captain. And we had so many great captains. We had Tino, Harry, who's the captain of our club now.
Yep.
Paddy in his own right is a great leader. And we got Tommy Dearden, who's probably the captain of like VC at the Cows. So we've got like pretty much 4 ready guys ready to take over the state. And for someone like Bill to put someone in the helm that's never captained a team, I've been VC every now and then, but for him to have that belief and confidence in me as a captain, I feel like I do my best and strive when I have bigger occasions or bigger commitments that I need to do. And I was very lucky to win both games, have a man of the match performance in game 2 in Perth, and we never won
game
that.
2,
yep.
26-24, you win in the wet. Your man, the hammer, I love it. They call him the hammer's doing this, and the hammer, he scores twice. But before your man, the hammer gets up and about, I don't understand the game enough. But I presume at some point before, when you're on the ground, before you run out, as you're ready to go, captain has to say something, right?
Yep.
So your first speech as Queensland captain, what do you go with?
Do you want the honest?
Yeah, I want the honest.
It's pretty cheesy.
That's okay.
As a person, I'm pretty laid back and pretty comfortable and pretty funny. But for me, I just try to make it a little bit light of the room. And I pretty much just said, boys, I'm not asking you to be God tonight, but what I'm asking you is to stand up for each other and do the little things as a group. As a team and as a state, they're relying on us to go and do our job. And that was pretty much what I said to the boys. So
I'm not physically equipped, but I'm ready to run out. I'm ready to run out behind you and ready to go.
And the boys kind of had a bit of a laugh about it because obviously, as a group, everyone knows that I take the piss a lot. But that was just probably more just to lighten the mood. I could go out there and try and pump the boys up and get them all tensed and ready to go. But for me, I have a different side of like relax the boys, sometimes play a little bit of music, something like bit like Cyndi Lauper, you know.
Cyndi Lauper? What? Girls just want to have fun?
Yeah,
What?
this that type of music. Like
This is tearing down the walls of Origin.
Mate, Belinda Carlisle, a little bit of heaven on the face on earth. just like that stuff. Like I listen to that stuff when I go out to play.
Yep.
Just to lighten the mood. I think sometimes we just really clump up and want to be so motivated to go out there and go to war. Like we're going to war, but just try to lighten the mood a little bit.
Go out and play with your mates in the backyard.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I try and do, and to find a lighter side to it all. Yeah, if we're in the Origin arena, it's not very hard to get motivated. You know, once you cross that white line, like you're ready to go. And it's the same as playing probably professional AFL.
Yeah.
There's always a competitive nature in you. You just got to try and find it, but you don't need to be playing the game in your head before the game's actually started. And I feel like that gets so many blokes so exhausted.
So there's a famous Queensland writer who's a big friend of this show, Robert Craddock Crash, and he often writes articles about the stuff we're covering. I can see the headline now, Queensland fueled by Cyndi Lauper. It's not one I was expecting. So as you say, player of the match, you win. And it was pouring down in Perth. Once again, it was Queensland had no hope. How often have I seen headlines, worst team out of Queensland have no hope. So you square it up.
Yep.
And we talked about this a bit at the start, and this is up to you what type of depth you want to go in, but how did you find out your father had passed away?
Yeah, look, it was the whole game 2 and 3, like we had got a hard look at ourselves in review, and that was not the footy that we wanted to play, obviously, in game 1. And we had some honest chats about every individual in the team, and we just said, where do we want to go? What path do we want to take? And we obviously want to take the hard route, and we never won a game in Perth. Like I think the stats show that we've been pumped, probably averaged 40 points to 6 or like
smacking.
So
smacking.
Even though the weather probably maybe played a part, but we're both playing in those conditions. And then the third game, we just said in the meeting, like, why can't we? Like we lost both games at Suncorp. Like, why can't we go down to foreign territory and get the job done? Like, what's saying who can't? Like, we can only control what we can control. So, look, I think we had a great prep all week. Going to the Sunday, just before, obviously, the day before we'll fly to Sydney, my sister rang me. It would have been 7 o'clock in the morning, maybe 7:30. We get up about 6 and we all go for a swim in the water in Sunshine Coast there. And we got back from our swim and my phone was blowing up and I went, what's going on here? Picked up and all I remember is my sister just crying on the phone. And I'm thinking, I didn't even have inklings of my mum or my dad. I'm thinking to my sister, what something's happened to her husband or something's happened to one of her kids, one of my nephews or nieces. And I was thinking in my head straight away, I was going, far out, who's got hurt? Like, who's hurt themselves? Someone's in hospital. And then I just remember my sister saying, Dad's died. And I'm like, what? You're taking the piss, like you're joking, right? And then she's like, no, why would I be joking about this? And I'm like, you can't be. You can't be serious. And then we look back on it. Now to this, like obviously got the coroner's report. He had a heart attack and probably couldn't invent what happened. But yeah, I guess looking back on it, you always kick yourself and ask yourself, is there something I could have done wise? But it's the saying goes, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink it. And my dad's diet wasn't great, and regardless of his health, he wasn't going to change for nobody. And that's something I loved about him. If he had a decision or he had something in his head, he was going by it. And that's what made him the person he is. But yeah, look, it was an interesting one. I was shocked, started crying, rang Bill, and Bill and myself have a great relationship and have a bit of obviously when we play footy, we're switched on, but off the field, we have a bit of a laugh. And he rang the phone, he picked up the phone and he's like, oh, what do you want, you goose? And then I kind of told him and he was like, you're kidding. And I'm like, no. And I was pretty emotional and started crying. And he was like, oh, mate, leave it with me. And he left the cafe, come all the way back to the hotel. and just came to my room, and he was pretty distraught as well because he lost his old man in January. And he was a great man, Rod. And unfortunately, he knew exactly what I was going through, but he knew what was best for me and my family. He put Origin and footy aside and became a mate at that time instead of a coach, and said, mate, you need to go back to where you need to go and spend a couple of days there. And he didn't really push me into any decision what I wanted to make. But I just remember him saying, mate, you go and see your mum and your sister and get yourself sorted and get them all sorted before you need to make a decision. But I just went, I'm playing. I don't care what you say. I know my old man would want me to play. He'd kick himself if he knows or knew that I pulled out of the game for him, especially being such a high-stake game. And, yeah, look, it ended up being a fairy tale for myself. But, yeah, it was a very emotional toll going back to Mackay, where obviously my sister and her partner live in Serena. And, yeah, it was a tough time for those 3 nights. And, yeah, I just remember just sitting there and just going, why now? Why? Like, there was just so many things going through my head, but I knew, I just knew I needed to make sure I was mentally prepared and ready to go for that game in Sydney. And when I got back, that Bill and Nate Miles did so much great things for my family. We flew them down. They come to the captain's run. They all come and gave my sister and my mum hugs and just made them feel loved and appreciated, and just gave me that belief that they had my back, and I needed to make sure I had theirs on Wednesday night. And this around even the rugby league community, like this, the players that I was playing against in the Blues camp, like they all reached out. Like it was pretty like overwhelming support for them to drop what they had to do for such a high stake game, to reach out to a player that in the game they didn't have to. Just shows the quality of person they are, and just shows the quality of people that are around the rugby league community. Is they got behind me, and
My word.
And then after that, the rest was history. I just remember holding the shield.
Before that, so you ran out on the ground. It was reported that you said something.
Oh, look, I ran out and looked up to the sky and just asked my old man if he had any energy, just to give me as much as he could for the night.
Right.
That was pretty much the only thing. I never ever do that, but I felt like I needed as much help as we all could get on that night, because we were in foreign territory and it was going to be a tough, brutal game. And Tommy did play out of his skin, and I just felt like my whole 16 other players like did such a great job, and I don't think I've ever seen such a great, complete performance as a consistency as a team. And we didn't give them a chance, and we were lucky that we did what we did. But I won't ever forget that memory.
Well, and you know, it's obviously a tragic circumstance, and it's of no comparison, but it will go down as one of those storied Origin moments when the Queensland captain lost someone very close to him and went out and played for his family and for his state, and as captain won the Origin for his state. Like that, you grew up on these state of origin stories.
Yeah.
I know you're not looking in the eyes I'm saying this, but you grew up on those state of origin stories, and it will be in history. It will always come up. Remember when Cam lost his father and went out and captained his state to a win. Like it's one of those great Origin. It's another reason why Origin is so great.
Yeah, look, I think looking back on it, he'd be probably chuffed looking up there from the sky going, look at me, I'm being publicised everywhere for 4 weeks, you know. And but yeah, I think that just shows the how high the stakes were of the game, you know. So yeah, it's crazy too when you mention it, Howie, about when they talk about Origin wins or legendary status or legendary moments. That will most likely get probably publicised a whole heap than other things, just because of the way of me being the captain. So yeah, looking back on that, it's a tit for tat. You know, it's a great moment that we've got to be able to win the game and under adversity for myself. But at the same time, it's a pretty sad moment for me. But as like you said, I don't think I'll ever forget this moment of being able to hold the trophy with Josh Pupley, who retired or come out of retirement just to play one last game, and to be able to say that we won against all odds. And we've been very lucky. I think if we won last year, it would have been 4 in a row, but it's not really spoken about. But we just love the group that we're playing with, and yeah, the world's our oyster, and yeah, we'll probably go back to the drawing board next year and be underdogs again.
You mentioned the discussions you had with Billy. So this is Billy. You're sitting, you just mentioned the big fella's playing his last game. You're sitting doing the press conference, and this is what Billy had to say about his understanding of what had taken place.
I don't like ranking things, but I've never felt like this. Like I know we're going to talk about it, but like the bloke to my left, that's as courageous and brave as I've ever seen. Like that I lost my dad in January. I know what it's like. I know how it feels. Like our dads are our heroes, and I don't know how he did it, but within 10 minutes of sitting with him in his room on Sunday morning, he looked at me and he said, "Bill, I'm playing." And I know he wanted to. I know his dad would have wanted him to. And boy, that's one proud dad sitting up there watching his boy tonight.
So I don't know what that's like to hear. You're obviously sitting next to him, but like that line, "Our dads are our heroes." That guy, geez, he's a statesman now, isn't he, as well, Billy? Like,
oh yeah,
that's that was one of the more powerful press conferences I've heard. I went back and looked at it.
Yeah, it's
Our dads are our heroes. That was like, oof.
Yeah, when you look back on it, you think obviously he was the first male you see as a baby, and you watch him grow, or he watches you grow, and you just you have idols when you grow up. But he's the guy that molded me into the person I am today, and same with you, Howie, with your old man.
And hopefully we do with our children now,
exactly.
Which is where it really hits.
Exactly, and the older you get, the more you appreciate the little things with those, and you just hope that you've done everything you can to be able to make them the person they am. And I probably forgot all about that since he's gone. Not forgotten. Like, I'm being pretty lucky. Like, he was a great cricketer back home in Queensland, and
I love that he loved Warnie.
He loved Warnie. He played actually against Mark and Steve in indoor cricket.
Did he?
Yeah, for Queensland against New South Wales.
Did he?
He played indoor for Australia as well. He was pretty handy in his day. He just didn't have the motivational or to go and leave Rockhampton. He was comfortable in his own region and just happy just to work 9 to 5 and play cricket here and there. But like I said, he was such a very talented person and very loved as well. And he'd give you a shirt off his back, and to have a conversation with anyone. And I remember everyone always used to call him Stevie Boy, and that was his name, Stephen. And he was just always such a great person to be around. And I remember he met Jerry Ryan at my wedding, and I remember catching up with Jerry last week, and he was depressed, Jerry, because he used to talk to my dad every Saturday as well. They used to go tit for tat for tips and that. So that just shows the person my dad is. Like, and same with Jerry. Like, Jerry's a multi-millionaire. Like, he didn't have to worry about a blue collar guy from Rockhampton, but just shows the type of people they are, that they obviously love being around people and love to have great relationships with. And yeah, I've been very touched with some of the people that come to my dad's funeral, blokes that he used to play cricket with, and just people that you haven't seen for a long time that still my dad kept in contact with. And that's something that I wish I had in my life, was just the traits of always reaching out and checking out on people. And that was something my dad had. And he, like I said, he never had a bad bone in his body. And someone would be saying bad things about someone, and he would always lean back to the good things that the person did, and never have a bad word or never hate on anyone. And I think sometimes you forget how lucky you were to be around someone like that.
We've talked a lot about the Melbourne Storm. I said to you at the start, if I ask you anything, it's not the right question and you want to not answer it, or you answer it and think, no, I don't want it in there, Howie. So I don't follow rugby league closely enough to understand whether this is a moot point or not. The Perth Bears.
Yeah.
I've read a lot of headlines saying Cameron Munster is being linked to the Perth Bears, the new team in the NRL. You've talked about Melbourne Storm, and you're about to go into another finals campaign, and, we wish you so much success on that. Where's the situation with Perth, or is there no situation with Perth?
Yeah, that's a crazy one. I think Paul Kent had some comments on his on one of the podcasts, and I guess it blew up. And my managers try to go anywhere else with myself. I'm still contracted till the end of 2027. Like, I can't really actually negotiate with any other club, or I could probably still negotiate with the Storm, but I'm still enjoying my footy here in Melbourne. I love Melbourne. I would love to be a one club player in Melbourne. got to chase the money at Dolphins. But at the end of the day, I just got to make sure what's best for me and my family. And I haven't, not saying I'm going to go and I don't want to go, but I can't negotiate with anyone until the end of next year, November in 2026. So I don't know where this chat's been thrown out. Someone's obviously been talking. I don't know who it is, but I tried to squash it pretty quickly with my management, and they said it's them or them or the Storm. So we're both happy. So yeah, at the moment, unfortunately, Melbourne still got me for 2 more years.
Spot on. We always finish this the same way. You have had a fantastically successful journey in your sport. And we have a lot of kids listen, and I always try and give different examples.
Mm-hmm.
So for the kids out there that are listening to this money that want to be the best Uber driver in Australia or the best number 3 in cricket and represent their country.
First drop.
Only spot to bat, they tell me. What advice would you give them from the success you've achieved along your journey? And now with a young family, you understand the weight of this question because you've got kids.
Enjoy the little things. Enjoy the moments. Enjoy the highs and lows and the roller coaster that comes with a journey and a path. As a kid, it's obviously you forget, like when you get older, you got to pay for bills, you got to pay for home loans. Yeah, obviously school helps you with that, but for me, just enjoy every little moment that you have with your friends and family because your friend circles change. You get from different circles, and could be a footy circle, could be a soccer circle, could be a tradie circle. You're just always moving around and finding better opportunities for yourself. So for me, just enjoy whatever you do, whether that's a taxi driver, footy player, a tradie electrician, commentator. I just think just enjoy what you love. If you enjoy and love what you do, that's all that matters, as long as your mum and dad still love you. So that's probably the advice I give to a young kid is just if you want to be successful, just keep working hard. And the saying goes, if you work hard, you get lucky. And that's probably something I've really noticed is for my successes. I just keep working at the things that I need to improve, but don't forget the strengths that I have as well. And if I keep working hard, things will turn to change.
As we finish, I like the fact that you are rocking reasonably long hair. I prefer the long hair to the short peroxide that we talked about.
You like long hair?
Yeah, I prefer the long hair. We had your man Ryan Pappenhausen on this show.
Oh, Pappy, yep.
When he comes streaming past you, do you ever get a moment to look across and think, shit, he's got good hair? Because he has got good hair.
He has got a good, luscious long hair.
He's got good hair. And like when he streams past you there, do you ever think, that's sort of the goal of where I'm heading here?
I don't know. I said to my wife maybe like a year ago, I said, I wouldn't mind growing a mullet. And in nice terms, she goes, if you have a mullet, like you were divorced.
Pretty direct, isn't it?
It was pretty direct. But I think for me, the longer my hair's gotten, she's like, actually, I like it.
Okay.
And I'm like, well, you could have had this a year ago, but I change every year. I think it comes to my ADHD. Sometimes, like you said, peroxide hair. I'll probably end up buzz cutting it at the end of the year. I've just got that thing of just different changes in my life that, I've had enough of the long hair. I'll go back to a buzz cut. Usually pre-season, I think I'm going to war and just going back to competing. Done. So I don't know, I'm not too sure, but it'll be something different next year.
I admire his hair. Hey, mate, thanks for coming in. Thanks for being so open and so honest. I hope the season finishes how you and the Storm hope it does. But Chatting with you, I think whatever happens, you'll be having fun out there, which is, I think, a great message that you passed on, everyone. Cam, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks, Howie. Appreciate you having me, mate.